Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Reading from Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 10, Chapter 20, chapter titled The Rainy Season and the Autumn. Text 38. Gadavari chara Thapam Avindhan Sharadarkajan Yata Daridraha Kripanaha Kudumbi Avijita Indriyaha Gadavari charastapam Gadavaris charastapam Avindhan charadarkajam Avindhan charadarkajam Yada daridra kripanaha Yata daridra kripanaha Kudumbya avijendriyaha Kudumbya avijitendriyaha Gadavari charastapam Avindhan charadarkajam Yata daridra kripanaha Kutumbya avijitendriyaha Gadavaris charastapam Avindhan charadarkajam Yada daridra kripanaha Kutumbya avijitendriyaha. Gadavaris charaha, those who are moving in shallow water. Tapam, suffering. Avindhan, experienced. Sharadarkajam, due to the sun in the autumn season. Yata, as. Daridraha, a poor person. Kripanaha, miserly. Kudumbi, absorbed in family life. Avijitendriyaha, who has not controlled the senses. Translation and purport by the disciples of His Holiness, His Divine Grace, Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada. Translation. Just as a miserly, poverty-stricken person, overly absorbed in family life, suffers because he cannot control his senses, the fish swimming in the shallow water had to suffer the heat of the autumn sun. Purport. Although, as described in the previous verse, unintelligent fish are not aware of the diminishing water, one may think these fish are still happy. According to the old proverb, ignorance is bliss. But even the ignorant fish are scorched by the autumn sun. Similarly, although an attached family man may consider his ignorance of spiritual life blissful, he is constantly disturbed by the problem of family life, And indeed, his uncontrolled senses lead him into a situation of unrelieved anguish. Namo Vishnupataya Krishna Preshthaya Bhutale Srimate Bhakti Vikasa Swamin Niti Namine. Namo Vishnupataya Krishna Preshthaya Bhutale Srimate Bhakti Vedanta Swamin Niti Namine. Namaste Saraswati Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvisesha Shunyavadi Pashyad Deshatarine. Jai Sri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Srivasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda. Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. Gadavaris Charastapam Avidyan Charadarkajam Yata Daridra Kripanaha Kutumbi Avijaytendriyaha. So the translation is, just as a miserly poverty-stricken man, overly absorbed in family life, suffers because he cannot control his senses, the fish swimming in the shallow water had to suffer the heat of the autumn sun. Hare Krishna. So here we are continuing with this 20th chapter of the 10th canto of Srimad Bhagavatam. And as we have seen earlier, Srila Prabhupada has given a beautiful analogy of all these verses in the light of Bhagavata. And the analogy is not, it's not just an analogy, it's a very practical analogy. Like today, even though the verse talks about how the shallow waters during the autumn scorching sun, water in the pond, lake or river, wherever, what happens is the water gets dried up. And when the water gets dried up, the water wherever it is being stored, it becomes shallow. Now in the shallow waters, the fish, being a small creature, what it does is, it's still happy. It is, happily living with its family members, happily living with this, the community, happily living with all the relatives. And still it is happy seeing that, okay, I have enough water, my life is successful, I'm happy here with all this, advantageous situation which I'm living in. But the reality is, the sun is going to scorch more and more, and the water is going to get completely dried up. And when the water gets completely dried up, the fish has nowhere to go. It gets scorched in the sun itself, and eventually it dies. So, Srila Prabhupada writes in the light of Bhagavata that this small foolish creature, this fish, doesn't know what is going to happen in a few days or a few months when the autumn is going to become even more, worse. And what it does is that, because it's being foolish, because it doesn't have any thinking about what will happen in future, how I am suffering, it doesn't have that much of thought process. So it thinks the situation to be very favorable, very nice. So it keeps on, enjoying in those shallow waters. And there used to be a saying in English, here in the purport also it's given that, ignorance is bliss. The ignorance of the fish is that it is blissful. The ignorance makes it blissful. Even though the situation is not blissful, the ignorance that, I am happy here, and, nothing will happen to me, nothing will happen to my my relatives, my community, makes him to live in a blissful state. And what is actually happening to him, what is actually happening to the fish is, actually it's like going from a frying pan to fire. We used to call this a frying pan to fire. When, a frog, this old saying goes that when a frog is put in a frying pan, and slowly it has been, even Prabhupada used to give the example very often, that the water is there a little bit, and the frog is made to be in the water, and the heat is in a pan, and it's almost like you are in a fire only. It's only a matter of time that you are going to become directly being fried in fire. So family life is also like this. Srila Prabhupada gives this in the light of Bhagavatam, that the family life is also like that. Initially it looks like, we are, happily being accommodated, living happily with our, wife, husband, children, relatives and everything. But every passing on day, every passing on month, every passing on year, it becomes even more, very, very difficult to run the family life. And when when some despair comes or when something goes bad, we always think that my family will come and help me. In this example also, when the sun is getting scorched up, the sun is really scorching and it's becoming really hot, we think that the family members will come and hold umbrella for us. And what we think is that, family members are there to hold umbrella for eternity. They will hold umbrella over us. They will protect us from sun. They will protect us from any despair. They will protect us from any disease. They will protect us from any kind of situation. So that's why this family is always with me. But what happens is that we don't know that, they're all fallible. They're all, fallible fellows. They're all fallible soldiers. Bhagavatam says, Deha patya karatradishu, Atma saineshu, asatsvashu. And what it actually says, the third line also says is that Tesham pramatta nidanam, pashyan api na pashyati. Tesham pramatta nidanam. That what happens is that Deha patya, because of its Deha, we have apatya, a wife. And also we have Kalatra, we have some sons. Adishu, including everybody around them. And what we think, that they are all, infallible soldiers. Infallible soldiers. They will be there, asatvashu. And what Prabhupada writes for the word sainyashu, he translates in that Bhagavatam verse as, fallible soldiers. They are all fallible soldiers. They will all fall down. They will all die. They will not be able to protect us. And we are able to see this, pashyanna pina pashyati. We are able to see this every now and then. We are able to see this before our father it has happened, my grandfather it has happened, my relative it has happened, my community it has happened. None of them were able to help. The father died in a miserable situation, the grandfather died in a miserable situation, the wife could not help, the doctor could not help, the community could not help. And even the advancement, so-called advancement of medical field could not help them. And what do we think? We think that the same way that my son will help me, my daughter will help me, my wife will help me. My wife is a daughter, my son is a doctor. And they know how to save me from all this, worst situations of life. But they are all Atma Sainashu, Asatvashu. They are all, they are all fallible soldiers. They will all die. They will all, they will not be able to help us in any way. And in that verse, Srila Prabhupada writes in the first line of the purport, material world is called the world of death. Material world is called the world of death. So, we are in the material world. In this material world, there is only one thing that is certain. What is very certain is that death is going to come. Death is very certain. It's only a matter of time that, we are going to live. And that applies to everybody. That applies to my son, that applies to my daughter, that applies to my wife, that applies to my community. Everybody it applies. And what Prabhupada writes in that purport also, that everyone is fighting to die. Everyone is fighting to die. We are all fighting to die. Till the death comes, we keep on fighting. We think that one day I will be successful, that I will be able to overcome this death. I will be able to overcome this entire process of, having despair in this material world. And we are all fighting. And what we think is that the children are there. I have got 2 sons. I have got, 3 sons. I have got a complete, relative who are all around me. And they will all help me. And the reality, what we have seen is that when the children grow up, they have to fight for themselves. And when they have to fight for themselves means they have to sustain themselves. They have a family themselves. And what do? They are least bothered about their father. They are least bothered about their mother. They are least bothered about their, previous parents. They are not worried because they themselves are in trouble now because they have to sustain their family. They have got kids now. So they have to find their own battle. And how are they going to fight your battle? They will not be in a position to fight our battle. We have to fight our own battle. Srila Prabhupada used to quote again in various places that our life is like a pilot. We are in the airplane. We are all pilots. We are flying our own plane. In the mid-air, if there is a technical glitch, like recently we saw, the plane actually took off. And in between, after it took off, there was a technical glitch. And when the technical glitch happens, The only person who can completely hold on or even save the entire flight is the pilot. He is not going to get any support from the ground. He is not going to get any support from the co-passenger. He is not going to get any support from anybody else. And what will happen? He has to fight the own battle of, sustaining that plane or, protecting that plane. So this is the same example here as well, that, we have to fight our own battle. Nobody is going to fight our battle in the material world. So in this material world, that, the children starts thinking that, after they grow old, they will think the same thing, that nothing is to receive from you. Oh father, oh my mother, what is there to get from you now? You have become old. Previously, at least you were earning something. We were getting some money out of you. You had some assets with you. So I was getting some assets, something. Now, you have become old. You have become, docile. You don't know how you can, you cannot do anything. And so what used to happen is that, that's another problem. The culture, Srila Prabhupada also used to quote that, the disintegration of the family life also leads to disintegration of our culture. Where the disintegration of the family starts, because we have disintegrated our family completely, into pieces. In the legal terms, there is something still practiced called HUF, Hindu undivided family. What it means is that a group of, family members can still hold together all their money, all their assets, all whatever they hold, they can hold in their name of their entire family. And today, we don't need, in previous terms, in 50 years ago, 100 years ago, there need not be a law that the family has to be together. The family was automatically together. Today, the family is not together, so a law has been also passed, or a terminology has already come that, if you want, you can still hold all your assets together as a Hindu undivided family. And what used to happen is that all the assets, that's the real problem. The real problem is that, when we are together, it is at least easy to fight together. When we are disintegrated, it's very difficult to fight. Even say, for example, even though we are not by the act of providence or by the act of karma, we are not having very good birth, we are born in a poor family, but still, whatever assets our father had, whatever assets our previous generation had, it was all together. It was all with us. All of us, our family members, were sharing. For example, it's always, say, father had saved, for example, 1 crore of money. Now, if he had 1 crore of money, and all the family members are together, it's always easy to take care of all the family members with that 1 crore of money. Now, if it has been divided into all the members, say, if there are 3 sons, 2 daughters, and, they all divide among themselves even 10 lakhs, 15 lakhs or something like that. And what happens is that, it is not going to be helpful to run a family with 15 lakhs, but it's very helpful to run a family of 10 with 1 crore. That is what we have missed out. Even the same with our, assets of your family, of your, you have acreage of land. That is another thing. While the agriculturalists are completely failing today, what happens is that if you have, say, 10 acres of land, and, all the family members used to, use the land for 10 acres, they used to produce a lot of things, and they can have the economies of scale coming into picture, where they can produce something and go and sell at their appropriate rate, and the entire family can live together as well. When you have divided your entire land into each pieces, say 1 acre for each family, 1 acre for each brother, 1 acre for each daughter, then what happens is that, you are struggling more and more, that you are not able to produce whatever you can produce in 10 acres, and you don't have a market for it. If you have produced, say, out of 10 acres, you can at least dictate the terms in the market. If you are producing in 1 acre, the same mango, the market will dictate the terms and tell that, give me for 10 rupees. Then what you have to do, you have to sell the land. You have to go and work as a laborer in the city. So what has happened is that in a short term, it's the same like a fish. The fish is thinking that this shallow water is good, this shallow water is very nice, let me go there, let me divide my family, let me live with my family alone, I don't need my father, I don't need my mother, let me bifurcate my assets. So what happens is we are living a miserable life. What we actually thought at that time is titillating of senses. The senses are so, engraving that what it happens is that, good, for senses it is very nice. Let me go and live alone. Let me, enjoy my life. I am young. I can work. My wife is there. I'm going to get some sun. But what happens is that, over a period of time, As I always, as I previously told, it is like the scorching sun is going to increase its scorching intensity. The same way, the flame is going to get intensified in our family life as well. So the problem, as Prabhupada says, in the light of Bhagavata, about in these two words, that Daridra Kripanaha. The Daridra Kripanaha, he quotes, that the problem with Kripana is that he is not able to control the senses. The problem is, it's always between controlled senses and uncontrolled senses. And when we have uncontrolled senses, we always, we don't get contented. That is, in English we call it content versus intent. When you have content, what happens is that, you are happy at least. Whatever Krishna has given, I'm happy. And, I am not you in bounty, in plentiful. So what happens is, you are having uncontrolled senses. So what happens is, you have to live a life which you are not afford to live. So that is, uncontrolled life or uncontrolled senses is leading to you to a miserable life. And, material life is always like, always like every day we call samsara dava, navli the loka. So it's like, the scorching heat is going to increase in our family life. And, nature is not going to allow you to live a peaceful life at all. Srila Prabhupada writes that, in one place, that, we are living in a prison. In a prison, you cannot expect a peaceful existence. If you are in a prison, how can you expect to be peaceful? The nature of the prison house, the nature of the prison life is that it is not going to be peaceful. The intensity will always be maintained. Criminals are there, they may attack you, they will do something harm to you. The entire prison house is going to be completely going to have some intensity of, not peacefulness. But what do we think? I will earn some money, the family life is good, I'll be peaceful, my sons are good, my daughter is good, I'm engaging in some devotional service, so-called devotional service, everything is happy. So at the end of the day, what will happen is, ignorance, here also it comes. Ignorance in spiritual life may also be blissful. Ignorance in material life is also blissful. Ignorance in spiritual life is also blissful. Here he quotes, ignorance is bliss in the purport. Many of the times we think that the grass is greener the other side. If I am like this, I would have been happy. If I have been like this, I would always be, peaceful. And, but it doesn't happen. The economics of the family life doesn't allow you to be always, happy or peaceful. We always have noticed this, that, every passing on year, it's the economics of the modern age becomes much more difficult to live a family life. If you earn, say, even 75,000 or even 1 lakh in a city, it is not enough to run a family. If you're living in a town, even 25,000 is not enough to run a family. In a village, 15,000 is not enough to run a family. The cost of living is increasing so much that, whatever you have saved, say some people think that, I have saved something, this is enough for my family life. It is not enough. Most of the time it becomes completely, not enough to run the family life. Because we are not living a contented life as well. When we don't live a contented life, that also is a problem. Whatever you earn, even you earn 1 crore a month, it is not enough to run a family life. There was this recent calculation which came out in the internet that, every family has a desire to own a house. Even if you are a poor family or, middle class family or even upper class family, what you always think is that I want to own a house, a family house. And that is the asset which I want to give to the next generation. My son will be, at least have a peaceful life that I give him a house. This is the plan of action or the plan of everything they think about that. But today, in many of the cities, not to leave out the towns like Salem or even in place where we live, owning a house is getting even more difficult day by day. By calculation of a median income, what is a median income? Median means an average income. That's the difference between a median and average. But still, if you take it as a median income, if it is a median income of a person living in a city called, say, for example, Bombay, how many years he has to live to own a house in Bombay? The calculation is, it takes 110 years. You have to work for 110 years and earn that much of money to save to buy a house in Bombay today. And say, for example, in Chennai, it takes close to 45 years to work and so to save some money to build a house or own a house. And I don't see anything different even in Salem as well. The amount of salary what you are getting here is proportionate to the amount of money which you will spend to own a house here. So, what are you going to do? You're going to toil hard more. You are going to work hard more. You think that, at least I will be able to save some money to bring a house and my children might be happy. But, it doesn't happen. It doesn't work that way. Few years ago, one time I remember, a family person came and met Guru Maharaj, His Holiness Bhakti Vikas Maharaj. And so Maharaj asked him, so what are you doing for your life? So he said that, no, I have, earned enough. I have kept some deposits. And, that's enough for my family. So I want to come and serve here. So Maharaj said, very good. You have at least taken a very good call, which others are not able to take. You want to serve to the temple, living closer to the temple, you have moved closer to the temple, you want to serve the temple. That's a very good appreciation. But a word of caution, Maharaj told him, which actually is true today, that whatever you have saved will not be enough after 20 years or 30 years. The rate of inflation which goes in, that say, for example, if you have saved 1 crore and you want to come and serve here, and say you think that is enough, the rate of inflation today is 8 to 9%. In 1995, a kilo of rice cost 50 rupees. In today, a kilo of rice cost you 45 rupees. So in 30 years, it has tripled. So every 10 years, it is doubling. So food cost is going to double every 10 years. Your medical expense is going to get doubled every 10 years. Your house expense, as I told you now, is getting doubled every 10 years. Your, traveling expense, as we all always wanted to travel here and there, the traveling expense also gets doubled every 10 years. So, if you have, say, 1 crore today, in 2035, it is worth only 50 lakhs. In 2045, it is worth only 25 lakhs. In 2055, it is only 12.5 lakhs. So, how are you going to sustain your family with 12.5 lakhs? So, it is not enough at all. So, if you tell that way, then, we have to work hard. How will I come near the temple? I cannot come near the temple. I have to work more. The corollary is not true. The corollary is that we have to be contented in life. We have to spend more time in serving at the temple instead of spending much of the time in doing unnecessary things like traveling, eating outside, going here and there, wasting money in building houses, wasting money in, building some apartments. All these things are like depreciating assets. The only appreciating asset is devotional service. The only appreciating asset is a devotional service. If you are doing your devotional service properly, your entire family is engaged in devotional service, that is an appreciative asset. But on the other hand, if you think that I am going to build some asset, like this, poor fish, who is always thinking that, at least in the state of state of despair, my family will help, and in fearful situation, everything will happen. It is not going to happen. This is called Viparyayo Smriti. Bhagavatam says Viparyayo Smriti. What is that shloka? That, Bayam Dvitiya Vinnashyat. Ishad Apetyasya Viparyayo Smriti. Ishad Apetyasya Viparyayo Smriti. So, we are actually turning our head behind the Lord, away from the Lord. All our activities, what we want to do is Isa Dapetyasya Viparyayo Smriti. Only because of Viparyayo Smriti means, no, it is all, the Smriti is not proper. The intelligence is not proper. It has become completely delusioned. We are working in a very, very wrong way. Instead of working for the Lord, we work for ourselves. We work for our family. We work for our betterment of creating some assets for our family. In that verse, in the 11th canto of that verse, what it says is that, Bayam Dvitiya Binna Visha. Bayam. Why Bayam comes? Why the fear comes? The fear comes out of ignorance. So the fear comes out of ignorance. The ignorance is because that, you don't know whom to surrender to. How to lead your life, you don't know. That's why Bhayam is coming. And because we don't know whom to surrender, and you know what happens, that's what Krishna says in Bhagavad Gita. It's very easy. I know, I will tell you whom to surrender. And if you don't surrender to that, then your life will not be successful. Daivi yasha manamai gunamaya suratya. That mamamaya duratya. That, you know, if you are not going to surrender to me, and if you are going to surrender to my maya, it's going to be duratya. It's going to be very difficult. Mamevahi prapadyante. That only if you surrender to me, that is the only way to come out of this despair. Otherwise, our entire life will be filled with bhayam, will be filled with only fear. What will happen tomorrow? What will happen next week? What will happen next month? What will happen next year? What will happen to my son? What will happen to my family? Always bhayam, 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 bhayam. And this bhayam comes because asantasya kuta sukam. Krishna says in Bhagavad Gita, asanta. There is no shanti, there is no peace. Why there is no peace? Because nasti buddhir. The buddhi is not in a proper situation. The buddhi is being completely, delusioned. Nasti buddhir ayuktasya. Yuktasya ayuktasya. So you are not surrendered to Krishna. You are not, connected to Krishna. And so what? Na chayutaksya, na bhavana. That bhavana doesn't come. Surrender to Krishna doesn't come. If you're not connected to Krishna, the surrender to Krishna also doesn't come. Na cha bhavayata shantir, na shantasya kutak sukam. That, if the shanti is not there, where you are going to get sukha, where you are going to get, peace, where you are not going to get the, happiness. So, the point here is that, the entire thing, the entire point is that we want to live a peaceful life. If you want to live a peaceful life, we have to get connected to Krishna. If you're not connected to Krishna, and if you're, viparyo smriti, your intelligence is being completely deluded by Maya, then, what will happen is that, you won't have any peace. If you don't have any peace, then you won't have any sukha. You don't have any, happiness. There is a very famous, that beautiful lecture which Guru Maharaj has given for this shloka, which is the 2nd chapter, 66th verse. And the title of that lecture is a beautiful title. He gives, the desire for peace is also contamination. The desire for peace is also contamination. What we are talking here is that we want peace. Peace is what I'm looking for. Why do you need peace? Because if I have peace, then I'll be happy. But what he says here is completely on a corollary, that what he is saying, if you are looking for peace, then it is contamination. In that, lecture, beautiful lecture, what he says is that the material life is like this. Say, he gives an example of the US life, or, any life here, in any city life. That peace is considered to be boring. What happens is when you are peaceful in life, you are peaceful in house, when you are, spending your time only sleeping, when you are spending your time without doing much, you are lazy. The life looks very peaceful. Now what happens is, sometimes it looks very boring. So in a very materialistic way, what people want to do, I want to do something, something fast. I want to do something great. My adrenaline has to, adrenaline has to flow. My adrenaline has to flow so that I'm becoming very fast. I have to do something. And what do they have? They have guns, they have their, they have fashion clothes, they are moving here and there, they go for nightclubs, whatever it is. They are doing all this life. And according to them, what is life? We have to be very active. We have to be, foolishly active so that our life becomes like, live life king size. That's what they say, live life king size. And Guru Maharaj says, you want to live life king size, which means that you have to die dog size. What happens is, you want to live life king size, so you have spent your entire life in wasting, working hard, spending your money on useless things, and at the end of the life, you die like a dog. If you have noticed, any of you must have noticed, the dogs, you see so many of these dogs on the streets. Many of these dogs, when they die, they don't lie on the roadside. You see at least 100 dogs roaming here. If all these dogs die, there should be 100 dogs' bodies lying on the road. Have you ever seen a dog, except for the roads where we travel in the highways where a car has hit a dog, we'll hardly see any dog's dead body. So what happens? The dog itself knows, animals for that matter, even the birds. You see so many of the birds. Have you ever seen a dead bird falling in your house, courtyard or something? You'll never see. The intuition of the birds, intuition of the animals are in such a way that they know that they are going to die now. They go to a very lonely place, they go to a bush, they go to some other place where they leave the body. Same way, so it is like dying like a dog. What you will have, nobody will be there by your side. You have no money, you have spent all your money unnecessarily. You have built your so-called house, you are not going to die in the house, you are going to die in ICU. In a pitiable situation that nobody is there, some nurse is actually waiting when you will die. So this is the living the life king size and dying dog size. So what happens is that both the things are not good. That what Guru Maharaj says is that the adrenaline flowing lifestyle is also not good. And on the contrary, a peaceful life of lazy life, that I will be happy, just to sleep my life. I don't want any stress, I will be there always. So the problem is, we already saw that because of desire, we are having all these problems. So can we live without desire? We cannot live without desire. If we have desire, then we have to work hard. If you work hard, then we are not going to earn anything, we are not going to save anything, we are going to live a miserable life. So the problem here is that the crux of the matter is whether we have material desire or spiritual desire. If you have a spiritual desire, then it is it's good. Then peace is not required. You can work more. You can work very good for, say for example, to build this temple. You need to have a spiritual desire. You have to have a spiritual desire that I will do something. I will do it something today. I will do something hard. I will make this temple happen. That is a spiritual desire. If the same thing is applied to a material desire, that I want to build my house, I want to earn 1 crore, I want to earn say 2 houses, I want to build 2-story building. That's a material desire. So the same thing is there. You want to work hard to do something, you want to work hard to do a material desire or spiritual desire. It's both are, at least you are active in such a way that you are working for Krishna, not working for you. But the spiritual, it's not going to be peaceful. Say for example, if you have to work for the temple, it's not going to be peaceful. Srila Prabhupada used to say that in Krishna Leela, there was never peace. It was never peaceful. Every day demons were coming. Every day there was some, activity of, whether death is going to come. And, there was some bhayam. And, Krishna is there, so he used to make the situation very, very peaceful. He used to kill the demons every day. In one other place, Guru Maharaj quotes this, that, Kamsa is like the US. And, Krishna is living in a very remote place, in a Gokula. He is living there. And for Kamsa, Krishna is like Osama bin Laden. And what he does, that, he is sending the Navy SEALs. You saw that Navy SEALs coming to kill this Osama bin Laden. So what Kamsa is doing, Kamsa is sending this Navy SEALs one after another. Go and kill Krishna, go and kill Krishna, go and kill Krishna. But Krishna is not Osama bin Laden. He is very powerful, so he is able to overcome all these Navy SEALs. But every day one Navy SEAL is coming. Every day a demon is coming. There was no peace at Vrindavan as well. In the night also, what happened is, Mother Yashoda used to sleep him nicely, put a blanket so that he slept nicely, and she used to go to sleep. But what this fellow will do is he will jump out of the window and go and play with his gopis in the night. Even the night also he didn't sleep. So the point is that even same happened in Arjuna also. Arjuna wanted peace. He told Krishna, I don't want to fight, I want peace. But what Krishna said? Yuddhasya vigata jvaraha. Yuddhasya vigata jvaraha. What he said, that you have to fight without any complacency, without even laziness. Fight. You have to fight. Then only you will be happy. So the point is that we should also fight. We should not be lazy. We should not be, complacent. That, I want a peaceful life. I have come to here. I have saved enough. I have enough money so that my family is peaceful. let me, spend some peaceful life, coming to temple, just say hi to everybody and go back. It is not like that. No, we have to struggle hard. We have to struggle for Krishna. We have to fight for Krishna. Yuddhasya vigata joraha. We have to fight for Krishna. So, that is the thing that, we have to, Srila Prabhupada writes somewhere, say in a lecture he tells, that we have to work hard for our services. We have to work hard in devotional service. Service hard, not hardly. Both are different. We don't want to do hardly any service. No, we want to do hard service. We have to do a tough service. We have to make things that doesn't happen to happen. That is the gloriousness. That is, then we get Krishna's mercy. Otherwise, what will happen is the life will be spent in such a way that it will be miserable. We think that we are in a spiritual life. The ignorance is bliss. We think that, we are leading a very spiritual life. We are leading a very happy life. But things doesn't work. Things doesn't work. So the point here is, the entire point which Srila Prabhupada also mentions in the light of Bhagavata for this verse is that we should not live a Kripana's life. The Kripana life is that, it's a miserly life. The miserly life doesn't know how to live a life. What he does, for example, he wants sense gratification because he's not able to control the senses. He wants sense gratification. But for sense gratification, he doesn't have enough money. He cannot make more kids. So what he does family planning. And the family planning is also, very, very sinful. Srila Prabhupada writes that he is going to suffer both now and also in the future. He is suffering now because he is not able to control the senses. He is going to suffer in later also because he has committed deadly sins. That, he has killed the child in the womb. So, that is the nature of a Kripana, that he doesn't know what to do. He is going to suffer now, he is going to suffer in later also. So, what is the best way of family planning? The best way of family planning is to control our senses. How to control our senses? Engage in devotional service. Param drishtva nivartate. When you are, transferring your desire to do more service to Krishna, always engage in Krishna, always be active in Krishna. Then our senses doesn't take you to some other things that, you want to have some lustly desire. So the way is that we have to downtail our desire, downtail our senses, downtail our activeness towards Krishna. Otherwise, what will happen is, that's the point that, the Srila Prabhupada writes in one of the purport that the Krishna consciousness, that, it should be like a self-manifested peaceful condition. A peaceful condition externally will not help. Peaceful condition internally also, that, I am living in a peaceful condition will not help. A self-manifested peaceful condition means that, I am going to serve